today we obtained a $20 million in relief for our employees.
For our employees. Taking a lot of credit here. What could he possibly be talking about? Okay, the restaurant chain, Chipotle, has reached a $20 million settlement regarding alleged labor law violations. This is the largest settlement in history in New York for something of the kind, and it's an interesting legal precedent if we think about what's going on with Amazon and Starbucks. But let's remember that this is happening concurrently with a lot of union busting, suggesting that corporations have this tactic to sort of roll their dice and take their chances with the justice system because it's much cheaper to pay out these settlements than to actually meet the demands of the workers, recognize their unions, and raise their wages. And it's better than nothing, but the more you think about it, the more you realize this settlement is not near enough. So we have the commissioner of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection in New York, Vildevera Mayuga, who works under Mayor Adams, who is probably more responsible for this than him and probably should have been the one breaking the news. But she said workers can expect $50 for each week or a part of a week that they worked between November of 2017 and April of this year, 2022. So $50 a week, let's break this down. The average salary for a Chipotle worker in New York is $16.80. This is 35% higher than the national average, but let's also keep in mind that New York City rent is 54% higher than the national average. If they brought their salary to $25 an hour, which is closer to a living wage, but not quite there yet for New York City, it would cost them $328 per worker per week. So they're really getting off easy with this huge settlement, suggesting that workers' power really is in withholding their labor. If they can get these folks to recognize the unions and they're just gonna wait to settle this in court for way less than they would pay for raising their wages, workers have to strike. And that's exactly what Starbucks workers are doing. As of today, there are 17 states where Starbucks workers are striking at 55 different locations. And Workers United, who Starbucks is unionizing with, made an estimate about this. So according to them, the strikes have cost Starbucks over $375,000 in lost revenue. So that's really how you get the message across, because although this is a huge settlement and Eric Adams is celebrating it, it's not really near enough.
Yeah, I was wondering how this thought got into my head, because I realized, from an early age, we got an unconscious sense that, well, the bigger the company is, the more you could trust them. I mean, a big corporation is gonna do something wrong, right? Maybe a fly-by-night guy does something wrong, runs a scam and stuff, but the big corporations, they're not gonna do that. They're legitimate. And of course, you got that thought in your head from corporate media.
That's right.
Which are also giant corporations. And the reality is, a lot of small business owners actually care about their workers, and they try really hard to run an interesting place to work, a good place to work, a loving place to work. A lot of the big corporations don't give a damn at all. And they just look at it like a spreadsheet. Well, almost all of them do. And they go, oh, well, how much would a settlement cost? How much would a lawsuit cost? And do you think that they do these calculations? No, I know that they do those calculations. And how much would paying workers more cost? And these are not corporations that are just, oh God, it's nip and tuck on whether they're gonna make it or not. If they pay $16 instead of $15, they might go bankrupt next year. No, they all have multi-billion-dollar profits, not just revenue, profits every single year. So they're just trying to figure out how much can we squeeze our employees, not just on wages, but hey, I'll play around with their schedules, I'll make it as hard as possible. And it's not to punish the workers. Corporations are amoral, they're not immoral, they're not actually human, they don't care about you at all. All they care about is the bottom line. So they will do everything they can to maximize profits at your expense if they're a public corporation. Yet your corporate media tells you that they're the most trustworthy people ever. As I read some of the things that Chipotle and Starbucks was doing, I was shocked by it. Like, really, you're gonna do that? And you're gonna try to get away with it? And then I realized, hey, Cenk, you're being a sucker. Of course they're gonna get away with it. They're gonna pay a settlement that's a fraction of the cost of paying higher wages. And all of the media is gonna back them.
You know, also, to add on to what Cenk is saying, depending on the network, they could be an analyst. They could be an anchor at one point on Fox Business. They could be brought in on CNBC and be thought of as this incredible mind in business when really they're just trying to undercut the workers. I was thinking about this as you guys were talking. Do you know, according to Statista, what Starbucks made last year? Like the $300,000 that Jessica brought up, it just sparked my interest. $24.61 billion. So they could easily give up $300,000. They could give up $500,000. As Cenk says, all that it matters is the bottom line. And I believe their initial, this is Chipotle now, their initial lawsuit was filed for over $150 million. So the fact that it got down to where it is now is absolutely ridiculous. By the way, thank you for the trigger warning with Eric Adams.
No problem.
I did not know that that was coming. I appreciate the heads up. One other quick thing that I found with Chipotle. In Massachusetts, they paid $2 million for 13,000 plus child labor law violations.
That is an unreal number, 13,000.
Is there anything more that I need to say on this? Like, I will give up a chicken burrito if it means that, like, you know, Billy, who should be delivering newspapers, doesn't get taken advantage of. Some of the things that were alleged: a minor worked past midnight, a minor working without a permit, minors working more than 9 hours a day. They didn't notify employees of earned sick time and didn't pay workers within 6 days of end of pay period. So like, all of these violations go into corporations not giving a damn about the workers, not giving a damn about kids working, and continuing to just think about the bottom line over and over again.
All right, I'll say one last thing. Normally the way that it works is that media is supposed to hold the powerful accountable. And so, like, I like Chipotle's food, right? But we have to put pressure on it. Okay, I don't even want to get into it. Okay, way too much. But we're supposed to hold them accountable so they get pressure and they go, oh, damn it, we're caught. Okay, now we got to be better to our employees. Otherwise, it's going to cost us customers and we're going to lose more money, right? And so the problem that we have, and the government's supposed to do likewise, is supposed to hold them accountable on behalf of the voters, their citizens, right? But where it broke down in our system in America is corporatism won. And so they took over almost all of the media, and they took over almost all the politicians by being able to give them millions of dollars in campaign contributions. So that is why both the media and the government will celebrate a settlement that they know is far too small and is actually just a Band-Aid on a giant problem in corporations that continue to abuse their workers with the encouragement of the government and the media.
I gotta say, I viewed you more as a Qdoba guy.
Okay, no, I mean, I don't want to do a plug for Chipotle in the middle of this story, but I like them better.
Okay, got it.
Those are fighting words, Rick. That's
why I said them.
Yeah, I think people can get kind of sticker shock, right? $20 million, that's so much money, it sounds like so much. Not really, as Rick pointed out, the profits of Starbucks annually. Think about how much money these corporations can throw at lawyers. Think about how much money workers have for these cases. This really means, as Cenk pointed out, it's in the hands of the government. We need our government to ensure that corporations are abiding by labor regulations. And we had Kamala Harris this week saying, I support unions, we need stronger unions, speaking at a conference, and really telling this story that she supports unions, doing it for votes, partially because I think she's scared with the momentum the labor movement has. But let's ask Kamala, why does the White House have more meetings with union busters and CEOs than it does with labor leaders, if that's the case? If you think unions are so important for our country, we really need the government to step in and ensure that workers are taken care of in their workplace.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.